creatures being seen in cities or the outskirts of cities going through dumpsters. That's been reported in other places as well. So, I mean, the intelligence of these things has got to be pretty good, and is what they are. I mean, because some people are convinced that it's remnant Gigantopithecus that came over on the land bridge back 13,000 years ago, and other people are convinced that they're remnant Neanderthals that are still wandering around. And then more people are nowadays are saying that they must be interdimensional, and that really frustrates me. They might be, I don't know, but I'd rather them, I'd rather somebody prove that they're not something before jumping, all the way over to interdimensional.
Yeah, I just wish, like I said, somebody would catch one of them, or find the remains of one, or whatever. Or even parts of it. The bad thing is, if you're out in the forest, a lot of people don't realize this. Okay, you're a hunter. Something happened. You have a heart attack. You keel over dead. It doesn't take very long, and your body is gone. I mean, you're going to have other critters come up there. They're going to munch and chew. They're going to drag parts of your body away, and the next thing you know, they find a little bit of, maybe of your clothing. Or if you're lucky, they might find a thigh bone or a head, but nowhere near where you died.
A week or less.
Right. Well, and there are also animals that eat bone as well. So those things, if they're just laying on the ground, those things are going to be gone as well.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't take long either in the forest.
No, I mean, and for that to be, for some people to hang their hat on, we haven't found any dead the bodies of a Bigfoot. That doesn't really add up at all, because how many bodies of large animals are found in the woods? How many bodies of bears or mountain lions are found just laying out in the woods?
Well, that's true. No. You don't find many bear. Before I had my encounter, I used to go out, in the woods. I grew up, camping, from a little kid all the way up, with my parents. I mean, we've been everywhere: Washington, Oregon, Montana, Wyoming, you name it, camping in the forest, not even in campgrounds. And, that is so true.
Yeah, right. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I can't remember seeing many dead ones out the small ones out either. Now, there was, Art Bell, years and years ago, had a guy call in. I think he called himself Bugs.
Oh, yeah.
Who had allegedly, he and a buddy were out, and they allegedly killed a Bigfoot and buried it. And he faxed Art a map, and that's the last I ever heard about it.
Well, I believe that story because Art was a friend of mine. And he believed that story 100%. And yes, indeed, he did get that map. But the problem is to go out, even after something like that is in the ground, who knows how long it would, especially years going by. I don't think it'd be anything left.
Oh, and probably not. There probably wouldn't be anything left. But, the thing is, he said this Bugs, because I remember listening to the interview, and Bugs said that he, looking at it looked like he'd killed a man. And that spooked him. And there have been so many reports of Bigfoot looking like, having the face of a gorilla. But then there have been as many, like the one from Momo. The witnesses said its face looked like a human.
Well, I can say something here, which I haven't said before. It doesn't look like an ape. It doesn't look like a human. It looks like a prehistoric man with a lot of hair on its face, but it does have a human facial.
Like a human hybrid, maybe?
I couldn't say. More like a prehistoric man, when they were really hairy and their faces weren't formed like our faces were. That's what, but it had a lot of hair all over it, like this. That's what it looked like. And a big
And-
head, not a small head like a human. Big.
Interesting.
Yes, I mean, so with the descriptions though, there very well could be, at least four different species of Bigfoot or Bigfoot-like creature just in the U.S. alone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could have the gorilla-faced ones. We could have the human-faced ones. The skunk ape in Florida looks, reportedly more like an orangutan. And there have been ones that are reported to look more like chimpanzees.
Well,
And I think the ones out west there are bigger, I think.
I got a funny feeling. Now, you can laugh at this. I have talked to the medicine woman at the Muckleshoot tribe. This is a while back. And, she told me all the, the stories of Bigfoot and all this stuff, how they would come and grab the babies, by the river, grab the squaws, and, sometimes they'd find bones, sometimes they wouldn't find anything. But I'm just wondering if there's been inbreeding between, a Bigfoot and humans, and maybe that's why they could be different, facial or body features.
Well, and that is a good point. Yeah, there have been Native American stories of them considering the tribes considering the Bigfoot type creatures just another tribe of people, and they would steal women from the village. There are also there's a story there's the famous story of Zana, the Alma, which is the Russian Bigfoot that was captured by some hunters. A female wild woman covered in hair was captured by some hunters and brought her back to town. And when they, I'm using air quotes here, civilized her and taught her how to do chores, the men started having sex with her, and she had children. So there are cases, and the children are documented. Heck, there was a scientist from a university in England who did DNA testing on Zana's grandchildren, to see what the DNA would turn out like. So there are lots of reports of interbreeding.
Yeah,
That DNA came out as human. Came back as human.
And this is something that's really got me thinking, because you're right that DNA test did come out as human, although there were some anomalies with it. That's the same story from Dr. Melba Ketchum when she, the Bigfoot DNA in her Bigfoot project. It came out as human with some anomalies. There was a researcher, I don't have his name in front of me right now, so I don't remember it, from Alberta, and he had some what he thought was DNA or Bigfoot DNA, and when it was analyzed, it was shown to be human with some anomalies, and it got me to thinking maybe all that actually was Bigfoot DNA. They're just really close to being human.
Either that or contamination, or a hybrid. We don't know.
Right. It could be any of the above, and a lot of these, other than the scientists doing the work, anybody, trying to get DNA samples, whether it be scat or hair or whatever, unless you're a scientist and have the proper equipment, you're going to contaminate it, most probably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And even when they send it to the lab, I hate to say it, sometimes it gets contaminated even in the lab.
Yep. Human error.
Yeah. Now, going on to other creepy creatures or anything like that. And I still believe, I saw a video of a lizard. It was like humongous, bigger than a guy, or it could be. So, I mean, I still think there's a lot of that stuff out there. I can't dismiss everything of being, fake or just rumored, or just a legend.
Well, Ohio's got the Loveland Frogman. That's one of the cryptids that was seen, several years. 72, 2 police officers seen them.
Right, yeah, was it Loveland, Ohio? Yeah, the Loveland Frogmen.
Yes.
Yeah, and there were two different specific encounters that I'd read about. There might have been more, but yeah, they involved one of them involved police officers who saw it. But in both of these cases, people were driving, and it was late at night, and they saw by this river. They were about ready to go over a bridge, but they thought what looked like people that needed help. And when they stopped the car and got out, they saw that they were like 4 feet tall bipedal creatures that looked like frogs. And they would, they escaped into the river. I mean, in both cases that happened. In one of the cases, I think it was the first one, not the one with the police officers, but one of the frog beings had what looked like a wand that was emitting sparks.
Oh, wow. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, which throws a whole other level of weirdness to it.
It does. Yeah, it shows intelligence and whatever they are.
Makes you think maybe they were aliens.
Well, and that's one. It could be alien. I mean, aliens come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. I think one of my favorite shapes and sizes is one that happened in Missouri on can't really remember the year. I think it was in the 60s. A farmer near Jefferson City, Missouri, which is the state capital. He was in a small town outside. He went out to look at his fields, and he saw what looked like a giant metal mushroom sitting in one of his fields. So of course he went out to investigate, and when he got there, he saw what looked like 4 foot tall green penguins walking around the base of this mushroom. And what he thought, okay, what are you going to do in a situation like that? He picked up rocks and started throwing rocks at them. And what he told the newspapers was the rocks hit, kind of like a force shield from Star Trek, and bounced off. And then the penguins noticed him. They went back into the mushroom, and the mushroom took off. But I wondering if in cases like that, I mean, they had great big black almond-shaped eyes, like the Greys are supposed to have. Which I found interesting that the farmer saw them as penguins, because what's cuter than a penguin? There's not a lot cuter than a penguin. But there have been reports of people who've under hypnosis have said, "Oh my God, I had an abduction encounter, and they were Greys," but all they remembered before the hypnosis was they saw these big rabbits with big black eyes, or these big owls with big black eyes. Maybe a lot of alien encounters are, gray type creatures that we, they try to make us feel like, safer than we actually are by projecting penguins and owls and rabbits into our heads.
Yeah. Well, like I told you, I had that one game warden on my show who wrote a book on owls and stuff. And then when it was, and he didn't even think about it till I had him on my show. And here he had his book out about owls, in the forest. During the conversation, he told me he was looking out his bedroom window, and he lived in a secluded area, so he never pulled the curtains. He saw some Greys walking, in his driveway, coming towards the bedroom window. And the next thing, they walked right through the wall. And that's all he remembered. But then, like the next day, when he would go out doing his job, he started finding owls everywhere. And so he wrote a book on owls. And I said to him, I said, do you ever think, because you're a game warden, or a park ranger, or whatever you are, that, maybe you had owls on your mind, maybe because you're infatuated with them, they saw that. So every time you see an alien, it's an owl.
And that's interesting. What have you been hearing?
And owls, you don't just see owls all the time.
No, you don't.
Growing up out in the country, and we had wooded areas, you will hear owls. You don't. I mean, unless it's night, you don't see them very often.
Oh, that's true. Hey, it's our break time again. It's our last break. Make sure you check out Jason Offitt's book, American Monsters. It's available on Amazon. If you're into any cryptics, if you want to go and hear about each cryptic in each state, this is a book you need to get. We'll be back in 2 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio.